Glory is the hunger of Babylon. It builds towers to the sky and names them after itself. It carves its own image in stone and bows before it. But the way of the Lord is not carved for applause. It is hewn in silence, built in the dark like Nehemiah's wall, where hands bled through the night and no trumpet announced their labor. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Matthew, chapter 16, verse 25. Blessed is the one who fights not for crowns of men, but for the oath unseen. Blessed is the one who kneels at the altar when no one is watching, who lays down his pride upon the fire, who rises clothed only in obedience. David knew this. When men sang his name in the streets, he hid in the cave of Adullam, and there the Lord anointed him in secret. When others sought thrones, he sought the heart of God. The Lord is my stronghold and my deliverer, he sang, not to the applause of men, but to the echo of stone walls and the ears of heaven. The battlefield is never for glory, it is for covenant. Blood on the doorposts was not a trophy, it was obedience that saved households. The torn veil in the temple was not for spectacle, it was thunder in eternity, unseen by most. So I ask you, when the sword is drawn, will you fight to be remembered by men or to be weighed by God? The armies of the world march for banners, but the army of the Lord marches for a name that cannot be spoken in vain. Their shields are dented, their breastplates scarred, their sandals covered in dust. But they fight not for songs of praise. They fight because obedience is life, and disobedience is death. Glory fades like grass. The nations rage, the kings set themselves, but he who sits in the heavens laughs. The kingdoms of this world fall like Jericho's walls. Crowns are trampled into dust, but the faithful remain, because their strength is not in themselves, nor in their renown, but in the rock that does not move. Look to the refiner's fire. Gold does not cry out for glory as it melts. It does not demand to be admired as it loses shape. It endures until the dross is gone. So too is the warrior of God, nameless to men, radiant before the Ancient of Days. Blessed is he who fights without wanting glory, for his banner is not his own name, but Jehovah Nissi. The Lord is my banner. The watchman does not sleep. He stands on the wall when the city slumbers, eyes fixed on the horizon, ears straining for the trumpet's cry. No one thanks him. No one applauds his vigil. Yet if he falls silent, the city falls. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. Ezekiel, verse 3, chapter 17. So it is with you. You were not placed here for honor, not to be admired. You were set to guard in the night, to hold silence like a sword, to sound the alarm even when they mock your cry. The veil was torn, from top to bottom. The Holy of Holies opened to the lowest soul, not with spectacle, not with ceremony, but in obedience. One cup drunk in Gethsemane, one will surrendered. The crowd saw defeat on the cross. Heaven saw victory sealed in blood. Blessed is the man who lives from that torn veil, who fights as though the curtain still hangs, who guards his soul as a sanctuary, who hides his obedience from men's applause. Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within him. That river does not shout. It does not beg for notice. It flows unseen, through broken vessels, through wilderness springs, through dry bones until they rise a living army. But hear this, you cannot drink while clutching your trophies. You cannot hold the sword of the Spirit and man's applause in the same hand. The river flows only through the yielded, through those who lay it all down. So I ask you, what do you still carry that weighs you down? What crown clings to your brow like rust on steel? What fear of being forgotten still chains your arm? Lay it down. The watchman cannot blow the trumpet while holding his vanity. The warrior cannot lift his shield while gripping his pride. The servant cannot kneel at two altars. The river waits for the unclenched hand. The altar burns for the broken sacrifice. The wall is guarded by those who expect no thanks. Sword in one hand, trowel in the other, fighting by day, building by night, remembered not by history, but by heaven. Blessed is he who stands on the wall though the crowd sleeps. Blessed is he who drinks the water though the world mocks his thirst. Blessed is he who fights without wanting glory, for his strength is not his own, and his reward cannot be stolen. The furnace does not flatter, it devours. It roars until every mask is burned away. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They did not bow. They did not plead for glory when Babylon's fire rose against them. They walked into the flames, and their chains fell. The Son of Man stood beside them. So it is with the refiner's fire. Pride cannot pass through. Reputation is the first garment to burn. What endures is faith, tested, scarred, yet unbroken. Paul and Silas sang at midnight. Chains cut their flesh, but their praise shook the prison. The martyrs bled in silence. No crowds, no parades, but revelation calls them blessed, clothed in white, standing before the throne, their testimony sealed in scarlet, forgotten by men, crowned by heaven. Do not imagine this path spares you pain. The sword cuts, the chains bite, the fire scorches. Yet blessed is the man who endures, his soul tempered like steel in the forge of God. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job said it with ashes on his head, faith still on his lips. The trumpet will sound, not the applause of men, but the call of heaven's armies. A white horse, a rider robed in fire, armies in linen at his back. No banners of men wave there, no medals, no names in stone, only the name on his thigh, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And now I ask you, when the gates close, when the final trumpet shakes the heavens, will your name be found among the faithful or among the fallen? This is the cut that cannot be escaped, the dividing sword, soul from spirit, motive from mask. You may deceive Babylon, you may impress the crowd, but you cannot deceive the Ancient of Days. The furnace asks only for truth. The martyrs knew it. They gave up what they could not keep to gain what cannot be taken. So must you, stripped of titles, nameless in the world's eyes, yet carved into the palms of God. Blessed is he who fights without wanting glory, for his end is not ruin, but resurrection. His crown is not gold, but endurance. His testimony is not applause, but the witness of the Lamb who was slain, and yet lives. The valley of dry bones lies silent, scattered, lifeless, forgotten. But the Lord speaks, Son of man, can these bones live? And breath comes, sinew binds, an army stands, not crowned, not honored, but alive by the Spirit of God. So it is with you. The world may call you broken, the crowd may call you finished, but the Spirit breathes where he wills. Dust can rise again as soldiers of the Most High. Do not wait for applause, do not wait for understanding. Jerusalem was mocked while its walls were rebuilt. Noah was scorned while the ark took shape. The prophets thundered alone, despised, rejected. Yet heaven vindicated them, not men. The altar burns still, not with beasts, but with living sacrifice. This is the narrow road. This is the way of the cross. It does not end in parades. It ends in crucifixion. It does not end with your name carved in stone. It ends with your life hidden with Christ in God. The heavens will open. The scroll will be unsealed. The Lamb will stand. Nations gathered. thrones shaken. And what is revealed? Not trophies, not titles, but endurance. The saints who loved not their lives, even unto death. So rise, fight the battle no one sees. Guard the altar no one honors. Stand the wall though none thank you. Drink the river though the world mocks your thirst. Endure the fire though the crowd calls it folly. For blessed is he who fights without wanting glory. He is like a tree planted by rivers of water, fruitful in season, roots unshaken. He walks through flame yet is not consumed. He kneels in silence and heaven bends low. The world may call you nameless. Babylon may call you forgotten. But Zion calls you chosen. The Ancient of Days will look upon you and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord." So let the nations rage. Let kings conspire. Let Babylon boast. You were never called to be seen. You were called to endure. Take up your sword. Lift your shield. Bind your heart to the oath that cannot be broken. Walk forward, nameless in the eyes of men, immortal in the eyes of the eternal King. Blessed is he who fights without wanting glory, for he has already won.